why does the team look so listless?
Well, I think you know the answer to that. He's a great leader and a great player. So whenever you take that out of your side, and he's been a constant for us for so many years, that you just get into the rhythms of having him there. When you take a leader like that out, there are going to be some holes to fill. And it's not that we're not trying to fill it; it's just that the hole is quite big. It takes a mammoth effort to lift the team up when you have one of your best player who is unavailable. So there's a psychological aspect as well. But we are good enough to do that, and the two games we've played are probably, whilst we've certainly lost Stoney, they've been performances that have been well below par from an individual and a team performance. So they've coincided with changing of the side, but they've also been a little bit disappointing in terms of personal performances.
Is there an element of insecurity among the batsmen when Dhoni is not there?
I don't think so. I think there's comfort when he is there. But he didn't bat in the last game. It was nice having him there. But I think the players are good enough and have enough experience, and that's one of our keys, that when we do have situations that don't go our way, we should have the experience to be able to deal with that. At the moment, we're not. The thing that concerns me is repetitive mistakes. So we're in this situation a few too many times this season. The fact that we're still top of the table is testament to bowlers and individual performances, but I think we've still got team performances left in us. And in some case that's exciting, but you don't want to run out of time hoping. You want to put that into play, and with 2 games left and hopefully finals, then now's a pretty good time to do it. Anyone else?
We had a tough season. It's been a tough year for the batsmen. I mean, I think CSK is lucky to have 8 wins with so many of the batsmen not firing. I mean, they depended a lot on Dhoni, and the last match Watson came and got a big way after so many. In that context, how worrying is the form of the main batsman, specialist batsman? And in that context, how do you see Vijay's performance today? Because Vijay's first outing and he looked good. So would you consider pitting him in one of these slots where others are not been doing well, or is he only going to open?
Okay, a lot of information there. One, I don't think we're lucky to be top of the table. I think we've worked hard for it. We play on a track that is difficult to bat on. So we've worked hard for that. 2, the consistency in selection has given us benefits so far. Watson's a good example of that. We've got players that aren't in form. Vijay has been on the fringes throughout the tournament. He's trained well, and we've discussed opportunities for him at length. Today was that opportunity, and you're right, it would have been good if it was 75 not out. But that over the next 4 days is something that we'll discuss. There's international players that are out of form, and my theory in MS is that we back these players as long as we can, but certainly you don't stay in those positions as of right. You have to earn them, and it was good that Vijay posted a substantial score today. So, that was good. It'd be good if we had more competition, but at the moment he's certainly one that put his hand up with an opportunity.
The Middle order batsmen like Bravo, Jadeja, as well as Kerala Jadhav, they haven't got too many opportunities to bat at different times.
Yeah, they have.
Not like Kerala Jadhav, Bravo, Jadeja, as well as in today's case, if you can.
They've had a lot of opportunities. We haven't batted that well, so they've had an abundance of opportunities.
I would say Satna just faced 3 balls batted today, and
Satna hasn't played that much.
Bravo has faced 32 balls. Is it a worry going further into the tournament?
No, the least amount they bat, the better. So I'd rather they didn't bat at all, which would mean your top order's going well. So the teams look at the Sunrisers have been dominant at the top. The fact that we've got players down at 8 that can win games is a positive, but they shouldn't face that many balls in a tournament if you're going well. So the fact that they have faced that many balls shows that, 1, the conditions we've played in out here have been tricky, and 2, we just haven't had players in a rich vein of form as yet. Last year we were very lucky to have Raidu and Watson lead the way with others contributing. I think this year Dhoni has probably been the main contributor, and then Watson, of course, last, and Rayner. So there hasn't been a lot of personal milestones met, but again, the conditions here have been difficult and scores have been low. But I would like the top order to keep being greedy.
Yes, sir. How much of a concern do you think is Kedar? Because he's being an impact player and not, today he had a great chance. So how do you assess him, and where do you think he's going wrong, and what does he need to do to get things right?
You would like more. He would like more himself. He's obviously building towards a World Cup as well. So the expectation there is that he'll play a key role. But yeah, we need a little bit more from him. There has been probably more opportunities going back to the last question than we expected. We sort of had him as a finishing role with the ability to manipulate the field, but he is good enough to play an anchor role as well. So he's disappointed that he hasn't made the most of those opportunities, as a number of our players are. The fact that we are losing that many wickets this year suggests that most players are searching for form. I'll stress again that these conditions out here are hard to really gauge whether you're in form or not, because it's hard to predict how the track is going to play. The last game was probably the best it's played for some time, and Watson made the most of it. But today was tricky for all, and they dealt with it a lot better than us. But yep, if we're going to win it, we need him to produce a bit more as with others.
I just want to ask something was along those lines in terms of Jadhav and Wright. They haven't really even looked like in a good touch all through the season. But is it important that you want to give them a long run, or is it because you're not still confident about the bench strength that you have? Maybe you have tried someone like Dhruv Shorey a couple of games earlier. Still, even if you want to give a break to someone like Jadhav and Wright, they get enough break and.
No, this yeah, sure.
Going into the playoffs now, because now it's just not 2-3 games he has.
Mate, that's fine, and that's our philosophy. Watson we benefited from the other day. Everyone calls for change after 5 or 6 games, and I fundamentally disagree with it. I think T20 is a hard game to play and be consistent at, especially when you bat down the order. So we tend to back international players and make calls right at the start. Dhruv Shorey knows that, and he is forging his way in a domestic career so far. But I'm not going to hand out opportunities just because I think guys need breaks or the player's not going that well. We've got to analyse why they're not going well and still make a call whether they have the best skills moving forward. And at this point in moving forward, I still believe that is the case. They play international cricket because they're some of the best in India. To chop and change and get into a muddle, you can actually derail a campaign, and I've seen that, and you've seen that many a time, and that's just not our way. So we make calls very early on, and then we back our players to the hilt. And if we run out of time at the back end of the tournament, then we can analyse it and say, well, maybe there should have been an opportunity for someone else, but that could be next year. So I make no apologies to the players about that, because we think that consistency will allow players who are fractionally out of form to get confidence to get back in form, rather than sitting on the bench stewing over it and then coming back still out of form.
Stephen, how do you keep these players motivated, especially someone like Jagdish, who's third specialist wicketkeeper? Sam Billings is not here and Dhoni is not here, but you wait for Ambati Rayudu as
Yeah.
How do you keep players motivated?
Well, it's not a charity. You don't hand out games. You've got to earn games. And these guys are going to be good players, but they are sitting on the fringes for a reason. They're making their way in domestic cricket, and they've got some great skills. But sometimes you can get caught up in how they play in the nets, and experience counts for a lot for me. So that's why, again, make no apologies to the young players that are coming through. They've got to earn their right to play with us. It's been a formula that you'd say has been successful over a number of years, and I'll stress again, if you chop and change and you don't have a basis for what you're selecting players for, you can end up in a right muddle not knowing what you want to do, and then the Jagdishans and the players spit out at the end of it more confused than they are when they know what they have to improve on, and then get even more desperate for their opportunity. We've had a number of players who haven't had opportunities with us, when we haven't been able to buy them back, go on and have a great career for someone else. And that's the benefit of sitting, learning and understanding from potentially better players, or better players at the time, that help them out. So the opportunity to learn is key, but we're not going to hand out caps just because the public or press think they need a bit of change. There's more basis to it than that.
Last two, sir. You ask me. Okay. Can I just have a quick update on what Dhoni and Jadeja have today?
They're both pretty sick. Yeah, they're both unwell. Virus and bacteria. I think a lot of teams are struggling at the moment through that. We're looking forward to a 4-day break. It's probably come one day too late, but we've been on that travel play road for a little bit now, so we've got 4 days to recharge, and I think Mumbai benefited from that for the last 5 days, and we're going to look to do the same now.
Last one, sir.
You were saying that the pitch is difficult to bat down here. So like Chennai has quality spinners. So do you think winning the toss and fielding second would have done the
Well, statistically, it shows not that winning the toss and bowling first is a key way to go. There's quite a bit of dew out there. We just weren't good enough to do it. The last game was a good example of that, and most of the games we've played here this season, apart from one, have been a good example of that. So once you get a trend of how the ground is playing, it's got to be pretty compelling to change that. And hindsight is not a reason or a compelling reason.
Thank you.